niggas just don't know. I don't know. I'm looking, yeah.
Marc Clarke, that's classic. I love it.
Good morning, family. Welcome to the show. Oh my goodness, Bootsy Vegas, are you okay? Bootsy Vegas, are you okay? Look, lady, let me tell you something. I did not know Bootsy Vegas doing the thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Bootsy Vegas gets it cranked, gets it crunk, he gets it going, Bootsy mother-sucking Vegas getting it in.
I did not see you. Everybody was like, hey, Marc Clarke is here. Marc. I'm like, where is he? Everybody was coming to tell me that. I never saw you, bro. And it's crazy that I didn't even know you was videoing that. I was definitely zoned out. I have to be honest. That was my first time drinking because I got there earlier for the birthday party. So I was a little lit, you know what I mean?
You was getting it in, son.
I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, oh God. So
and you made it. You guys killed it. Crowd, packed house, great events. Let's get it popping. It's on and popping.
Happy birthday, Raheem Devon. And just since we out here in the internet universe, Raheem, thank you for letting me take you out of your comfort zone. This correlation of what we have developed is giving him another side of, number one, performing, be a little bit more open to move around a little bit. All these earth, wind, and fire principles that Maurice White told me. One principle that Maurice White always told me when he said, remember when you are performing, everybody wants to escape their realities. Your job is for them to escape whatever reality that they're dealing with for those 2 hours. And the premise of this band, but also for him to connect more with DC, as I told him that I think more people need to know that you've been out and about. So, being honest, a lot of people in his camp and around him were against this. They were really like, don't let him do this to your music. Man, people love these songs, you know what I mean? So just the fact that he was comfortable in believing in what I was trying to develop. Number one, DC, because I felt like a lot of go-go bands needed better vocalists, people who could vocally, I felt like we were not respected vocally. But Maurice White gave me some advice. I'm always quoting Maurice White, Jesus Christ. He told me one day, he said, look, I can tell you how go-go can make it. And he was like, this is what you need to do. Go find you songwriters, somebody who can fit it in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. He said, I don't care about the groove. I don't care about nothing. Find you a good vocalist and find you a good songwriter, Salih, which is how I brought Samantha into the situation. So if people who do not know, the owners of this situation is Bootsy, Raheem, and Samantha. It's a triangle. She's in the background writing the songs.
I love it.
Producing it. And so last night, I think he finally realized, everybody realized, and I'm being honest, Mark, this nigga Bootsy ain't crazy. And you know what? Raheem was smart to listen to him because people were adamant about this. don't do this. Rod, you don't need to do this. Rob. So last night was great. And, you know, we are brothers. Me and Raheem have kind of like how me and you are now. Me and Raheem is like that. We're really, and the thing about, like with you, I see sides of y'all that people would be surprised. People would be surprised how fun, everybody be like, so does he act this way only when he's around you? Or do you? I'm like, nah, you just gotta get to know him. You know what I mean? Like, he's just as funny as me. Raheem has characters, like comedic characters that he will say around me for hours. He will jump into this reggae voice and people be looking like, oh, and then other people be like, oh, he's just an introvert. I'm like, nah, you gotta know him. You know what I mean?
That's your gift. You bring it out, brother. And that what you just said is perfect. You take the best of, and then right, it was perfect. And last night, obviously, everybody was having a ball. It sounded amazing. Like you said, the best elements of go-go, the percussive, the rearrangements, and like you said, he's got the vocal power, and you're absolutely right. I think that's one of my pet peeves. You know, he could take it to another level, and you put that combination together with what go-go does, and it's crazy. So
now hold on. And let me tell you this though, because let me drop this exclusive bomb. We already have an album ready, and we have a single with Earth, Wind, and Fire. It is done, completed, ready to go. We were going to shoot a video the year of COVID, right before Essence Festival at Wolf Trap. We had it all set up. Then there was so much requirement on this, that, and all that. But we have a Earth, Wind, and Fire go-go single with Maurice White visually in it.
What?
It's done, Mark.
And when's it coming?
Let's talk to Raheem about that one. You know,
okay.
But let's hope last night did it. But also, because we get this out too, his new album, Lust to Dawn, dropped last night, this morning. So please go get his new album. And now that he has completed his contractual R&B requirements, we will now be venturing on to the Great Crusaders and all that. But go get Lust to Dawn. Run it up. Come on, run it up. You know what I mean? So we about to move to the Great Crusaders. So Crank, and we have two titles for the album. The one I'm going with is Crank, Weed, and Sunflower Seeds.
Nice. Well, it's, you know, obviously we got great music and we got great musicians on the show, including you. But this brother out the D.
Yes.
You know, I was born in the D, so I got a special, affection for it. Jay Brown joins us this morning. Now, let me tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Brown in the building. What's going on, player?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you, man. Looking sharp, bro.
Sometimes my laptop is tripping. I don't know. So I'm glad you can hear me. What's up?
You got all those great songs on there. Matter of fact, so Jay, we met, and I know you hate when people do this. I'm not gonna do it. We met Jay when I was on WHUR, and I think this was the single one.
You wanna take time, do what you gotta do, ease your mind. I believe in me and you, I'd rather go blind than to see you walk away, then never kiss your lips again. I love you that much. Let me take you to the moon, babe, when it's quiet, make love on the stars, watch the sunrise on a planet, and we head down to Mars. Ain't hard to see, you're the one for me. Give the world to you, can't get enough of your love.
Jay Brown, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. That's one of those sneaky summer joints where the girl,
what up, though, Jay Brown? What up, though, Jay Brown?
Oh, you know the Detroit talk, bro. I love
What
it.
up, though? What up, though?
Hey, I heard y'all talking about my bro Raheem, man. Shouts out to him, man. Happy belated birthday. I believe.
Yeah, it was yesterday. But shout out to one of my good friends, Dwelle in the D. That is my man. Also,
sure.
His old keyboard player, Vernon the German. That is my guy.
Wow.
Shout out to Tim and Ron from Timonius. Them
Crazy.
my guys out in the D.
Crazy.
And also one of my good friends, Erica Rodriguez. She does journalism, E-Class. She rapped and all that. Shout out, and I also shout out to everybody at Cass Tech.
Oh yeah, CT, stand up.
What up, though?
Yeah, you know what time it is.
So Jay, you're younger, and I was born in Detroit, and my mom, we left when I was 3 because she was scared of the D. But that sounds crazy. But
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
You know what I mean? She was like by herself in the D. She let me go to my small town. But consequently, though, Jay, every summer was in Detroit. Now let me ask you. I'm older. I'm a couple generations older, so I'm gonna ask you if these things were around when you were little, or were they gone? So a trip to Detroit always included Belle Isle
for sure,
Bobolo boat.
For sure.
The Boblo boat. What up, bro?
I never went to Boblo Island because what's it called? Boblo Island or something?
Yeah,
like
Boblo Island.
So I was a little bit younger, maybe 1. But my siblings, they all went. I've never been to Boblo Island. Cedar Point, which is in Ohio, but that's about it.
And then we go across to Canada, and my mom would always say, "We're in Canada," you know, and I'd be like, "Wow!" It was the first time I ever had White Castles was in Detroit.
Oh snap!
My aunt
White Castles will get you, baby.
My aunt told me. My aunt taught me how to cut a steak properly at the Rent Center. On top where it goes. Yeah, the Rent is that still going? Is that shut down?
Oh, it's still there. It's thriving too. I mean, you know, the whole gentrification thing, they done changed everything, man. Downtown is like Hollywood. It's crazy.
And so, Jay, the musical influences were crazy. I mean, again, one time, one of my, back then people had bands. I'm talking about full out bands in the basement, those beautiful brick and stone homes. So that's the part, Jay, I remember that a lot of people, when they think, it reminds me of how Baltimore's image. When you say Baltimore, people think about the wire crack. You say Detroit, people think whatever. But what I think of is my mom, who had those friends who worked at Ford. They all had those stone homes, those brick, beautiful homes, those neighborhoods, and they were hustling. So the husband would work at the plant, but also cut hair. So he had a full service barbershop in the basement, and his son had a band with everybody, And so, Jay, tell us about your life in Detroit coming up.
So my life in Detroit basically consisted of, a lot of church. My dad was a pastor, so from sun up to sundown, pretty much all the time, church, Bible. Pretty much. Outside of that, I played baseball. I boxed a lot. I boxed at Kronk. Let me see, football, Pee-wee football with PAL, the Police Athletic League, and singing, of course. So I would always sing in talent shows and, whatever I could pretty much to just get my voice out there. But that's what it pretty much consisted of, hanging out with friends, going to barbecues, going to Belle Isle, just all the fun things that we just enjoy doing in Detroit.
And Jay, it's interesting because being raised in the church and being raised with all those Black people, your approach to me is it's measured. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not a hooping and holler. You got it, but you don't do it every time. You pace it out. You pace it out. Is that just your style? You know what I'm saying? It's like you're tasty. To me, you're like a tasty vocalist. Is that your style? When did that come about? Did your dad beat it out of you because you couldn't do it in church? How did that style come about?
Well, that's a great observation. So a lot of people, like people who personally know me, they'll say, "Man, why, man, and I take it as a compliment. They'll say, "Man, back in the day, you would really just blow because I come from the church." They're like, now you kind of like constricted, like in this box, like where I don't really show all my vocal capabilities. But that's due to like radio and stuff, and we only can display so much. So during like my shows and things of that nature, I'll go all out and I'll show people like, oh, he can do all that, just to show them, oh, I'm there, I can go there. But for the most part, I just keep it from what's appropriate for radio. You know what I'm saying? And but that's my roots. I come from the church, so I can do all the hooping and hollering because considering my dad, that's what he did all in the pulpit. So I come from that, so I can do it, but. Sometimes it's just kind of like I'm a step back. It just.
No, I got you. So Jay, I would love to ask you this. So obviously, because I don't know if this part of Detroit is told. So there are a lot of successful gospel artists. There are a lot of successful hip hop artists. But they kind of all intertwine somehow. You know what I mean? Right. And they all listen to everybody. So when you were growing up as a teen in Detroit in general, who were you listening to? Because I think that's also part of your story as well.
Mainly like I love Jay Dilla. Like I would always
Man, Slum Village, rest in peace.
yeah, man.
Man, that's
Crazy.
my man.
Yeah, super talented. Everyone knows that. So I would say mostly
I knew him. I actually knew him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I would say, Jay Dilla. I would listen to Kim a lot. I like Kim a lot. Like oldies, like all like the Motown greats and stuff like that. But also I would fuse gospel in there as well. So like the Clarke sisters, like I know them very well. Karen Clarke, Dorinda, all of them, Maddie Moss.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace and Maddie Moss. So that's pretty much what that consisted of and who I listened to mostly.
Who had the most? So when you was growing up though, like out of all of these multicultural albums, because you mentioned Jay Dilla, and I think, and I don't know if people fully know how great he was, but he's probably the most unappreciated hip hop producer. What he did. Did those Slum Village albums have an effect on you growing up?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love the Slum Village albums, phenomenal talents, but they didn't have an influence on me. And to be quite honest with you, I listen to a lot of music, but the only person, and this is the honest to God truth, Tank is the only person that influenced me to sing at like since the age of 10. I was singing on the playground. So Tank was like everything Tank. It was always Tank. And he's not from Detroit, obviously, but No,
he's from he's actually from DC. Yeah. And I've known him forever. And it's interesting because he started in the church and his nickname was Choir Boy growing up. They would call him Choir Boy from the guy. So he was a staunch church person. His family had him in church. He was singing gospel in high school. And the only reason why he ventured out was because Genuine had him singing background.
Right.
And it was like, and the management was like, well, you got to go. Because interesting, it was Tank, Raheem, and Genuine were all managed by the same people. So they were all caught in that mix. But it was interesting that they would say that in his beginning records, he would always just go back to church. That it was church. So it's an interesting coalition because y'all stories sound exactly alike right now.
That's nuts. Yeah, Tank is, man, it's the truth. It's just Tank. That's all.
And so, Jay, did you have the classic battle of the family frowning upon you singing secular music? You have to kind of prove yourself. Yep. The lifestyle, the lifestyle movie when you have to confront your reverend dad and tell him it's what I want to do, Daddy.
Right. No, you would think so, considering because my dad was super strict. So. Excuse me. He fortunately he allowed me to do what I wanted to do, and I was really surprised because he was one of those like by the books, old school, Southern Baptist preachers. So he knew it was a passion of mine, and I think once he when I sang for Bill Clinton, I think that's when he knew like okay,
he good.
He's good. He it's not just about singing the gospel. Is more so about what he's passionate about, which is just music in general. And so I think that was that defining moment for my father, and he just kind of let me just take flight after that. Surprisingly.
Wow, and it's interesting because that seems to be the fight with most Detroit gospel artists in general. Yep. I think the greatest story that that was the most fascinating gospel story was when people in Detroit were mad at the Clarke sisters for singing at the Grammys that year. You know what I mean? Like, and how much pushback that they actually got. So just speaking of gospel, and it's interesting. One of my best friends who was in a band with me, her name is Ayanna Crawley. She won Sunday's Best season 2.
Oh yeah,
she won season best. So
Beast.
Yeah. So I would love to ask, what is your thoughts or perception of what gospel, this transformation that is happening with gospel radio in general, even with the boom of Willie Moe Jr., how they're now venturing into younger, because some people call it gospel, some people now call it inspirational. What is your thoughts on this seemed like the acceptance of more gospel artists in mainstream radio, but also gospel radio now expanding with rappers now. I would love to know what your perspectives is.
Man, that's a really good question. Because
hold on, Jay. I asked all the good questions on this show. I just want
I'm starting to notice that. So no, straight up, you know, man, what did my dad used to refer to it as? Serving two masters, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I feel like as long as it's leading in the path of people just pursuing their dreams, you know, as long as there's nothing negative, I think music should just be what it is. You know, it's something that we all enjoy, and I think it's something that we all, especially for people who are aspiring singers and whatever, like it's just something that uplifts us. So for me personally, as long as there's nothing negative, and you putting two, I guess, quote unquote, secular and gospel people together, for me, I think it's a positive because it can also lead people back to Christ. And it's like they're doing it in a cool way, an acceptant type way, like that's not really.
Kiera Hawthorne is doing that right now.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, she is though. And it's interesting about her that a lot of people, if they're not listening to her, they may not know that it's a gospel. They're not going to notice it. Like there were a few times that I listened to her and had to go back and be like, oh, like it's you know what I mean?
PJ Morton's another example.
Yeah, we just had him on here. Yeah, we just had him on here.
Another example. So I think it's cool, you know, personally, as long as there's nothing negative, in my opinion.
And so, Jay, you basically, you know, always wanted to work with Tank, and now look at God. You're working with Tank. Let's take a listen. Let's take a little listen to what you guys are doing.
One touching and one with your body. I'm yours, you can place me where you want me, yeah. Focus on me while I turn it out. When you back up on it, talk and make me proud. We ain't here to fuck around. Ain't no way we're slowing down. I can feel it, take us on a ride. You think it's wet, I can get it wetter. Don't rush. Legs up. Don't rush. I'ma wait for it. I'ma wait for it.
Say that you like it, but the pleasure's all mine. You say when you ride it, it'll be the ride of my life. I got time to work on you. On my grind, like I work for you. Yeah. I can bet you wanna taste, don't you, babe? If you play it safe, here's a chance to walk away. I'ma leave you captivated, live without it, no you can't. I know how to do you right, yeah.
Don't rush.
Jay hitting her with the sweet. Jay coming in all sweet, man. You boy.
Hold on.
Let your dad hear this.
Exactly. I was saying, did your daddy hear this yet? Like,
no, my dad, he passed away. So if he heard it, because he knew how much of a fan I was in terms of Tank, so he would have been cool with it.
You know, it's so interesting because that you guys really do sound great together,
man.
And again, man,
I was super nervous, bro. Like, because come on, man, that's like working with your idol, man. So for me, it's kind of like Tank is a phenomenal vocalist. Everyone knows that. So it can be a little nerve-wracking working with him because it's like you don't want to make the wrong move. And we recorded that at his crib too. So it was just so much pressure, man. I was like, but I've been knowing him for a minute, man. He's a good dude, and it just gelled, man. It was just it's a true blessing.
That's a banger there. And to give some context, when you talk about working with your idol, Mark has that feeling every day when he comes on and work with me. So I'm sure he can identify with that anxiety that you have. He has wrong with every day.
So Jay, you know, again, I know, your family members and certain people will be like, wow, like, like you said, that's obviously that's a sexy song. And it then makes you then, are you cool with being the sex symbol? Is that, because that's the whole thing, right? It's the whole thing when,
Yeah, that's a good question too. Because I'm gonna tell you, Mark. At first, listen, I wasn't about none of that. I'm like, leave that to Trey Songz, leave that to Tank, leave that to all the people who want to. But then it's like, well, when I'm at my shows, I mean, I'm taking off my shirt sometimes, so I might as well just kind of infuse the two together, because now it's just like it's appropriate for me to do with the song, and now it just makes sense. So yeah, I guess you consider me a sex symbol now, I guess.
And look, and look, once again, I'm the sex symbol on this show, so I can identify with that.
Wait a minute.
Listen, you got the R&B
you gotta run with it, D. Jay, you gotta run with it, Jay.
You got the R&B shades on, bro. So
Bootsy, Dr. Green said back in the day she used to take Tank to the studio on her grandmother's 1984 Casada when he sung backup for Cliff Jones.
Right.
So
crazy.
Dr. Green, I ain't telling your husband used to take Tank to the damn studio back in the day.
Boy, a lot of people got a lot of questions to ask.
And so, Jay, again, let's hop into that, because that is funny. So, I mean, Tank, in addition to, it's almost like, like you say, because he does so many, songs, like sexy songs and stuff, but really the songwriting and the musicianship and stuff, that's a big part and one of his secret weapons, right? As far as longevity, did you get a chance? Do you get a chance to chop it up and take that advice too from songwriting for others and all that kind of stuff too?
Oh yeah, I write. So I co-wrote with him, so we it's always a pleasure, man, to work with someone like him and pick his brain and just figure out how to kind of like reconfigure certain things, like in terms of how I would write certain music. I'll head in this direction, but he's like, well, maybe you should tweak that a little bit. I'm like, man, that actually makes sense. So it was just cool, man, to learn from such a legend like him. And I consider him a legend in my opinion. But yeah, it's just, man, phenomenal experience, bro. Definitely.
Well, I would love to know, because we definitely read your background. We did our research on you. What was it like going to a HBCU trying to do this career as well?
Well, man, y'all got all the great questions. Hold up,
man. That's what we do here on the Marc Clarke Morning Show.
That's why I pay Bootsy so much out of the budget, because he asked the great questions.
He's asking. Well, y'all both asking him, but
no, Jay, it's too late now. Don't switch it up now.
No, man, I gotta play. It's an even playing field.
We met you first with my wife, and you threw me away like a bag. It's okay.
No, man.
You're a sex symbol.
Both you and your wife were so cool that day, so I remember it like it was yesterday. But no, in terms of the HBCU, so me going to Grambling. Oh man, so yeah, my homegirl, she this was like right before I crossed with my fraternity. She signed me up for a talent show, and I was like, nah, I ain't singing in no Grambling talent show. I was like, nah, I'm cool, because they boo everybody.
Oh wow!
You saw what happened to Charlie Murphy.
That was that Grambling.
Yeah, you're right.
That was that Grambling, and he tore the check up. But no, so so just to rewind the tape a little bit. So my homegirl Maisha, she signed me up for this talent show. And I was like, nah, I'm cool. I ain't trying to get booed. And I've never sang like in front of I have, but not in front of a crowd that's known for booing people. So I was like immediately like declining.
So that was on your mind the whole time?
The whole time. But I went and auditioned for it, and they wanted me to be a part of it. Fast forward, Maisha passed away the day of the talent show.
What?
She passed away in her dorm the day of the talent show.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, man, life is so crazy. But I did the talent show, and who did I sing? Whose songs did I sing? Tank's. The crowd went crazy. The girls were on their knees crying. It was nuts. They didn't boo me, obviously. And they said that was the most, what did the president say? That was the most magnificent performance I've ever witnessed in the history since I've been here of Grambling State University. He said,
wait a minute. I gotta give you the come on, man. Come on, son.
I bullcrap you not, fellas. I couldn't even believe it. But when I say the entire auditorium, they all were standing up. Like everybody from the dudes to the females. I still can't believe it to this day. And everybody still talk about it. So that was technically that defining moment that I could do it solo. When I didn't get booed, I was like, oh, I can do this. So Yeah, man, here I am.
Did you feel her presence in you while you was doing that
Yeah,
performance?
yeah,
Like, was it a lot of that in you as
yeah,
well?
because she really loved Tank too. So she was like, you know,
Wow.
she was going over certain songs with me, like, why don't you do Music Soul Child? And I was like, oh yeah. So I kind of opened it with Music Soul Child, but then I kind of the remaining songs I did all Tank. And yeah, it was, I mean, it was just a sad situation, man. But you know, I kind of like, I still have her in my heart. It was definitely one of those memorable moments. So
Yeah, and the thing is, if you still know the value of it, that's the amazing thing too to even share that story. Because you know, in this journey, there will be people that will only inspire us for a few minutes, but we are carrying them with us. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I think that is such an amazing part of it. Like this is sounding like a real doc. I'm looking at a documentary being made in front of us in this conversation.
Oh
Did
man.
you share that story with Tank?
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
Yep, I did. Yep. And he was sick. He was like, man, like he was sick for a good 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, so Jay, how do you know it's you are in a tough business.
Oh yeah, extremely.
You know, it's kind of like, you're seeing, so what is it like being in that fraternity of singers, of entertainers? The thing where, I know, rappers kind of have, it seems like rappers always have beef, or the competition seems to be stressful. R&B singers, not as much, but it seems like it's a little different now. Does it feel like a fraternity, man, or does it just feel like you're all just fighting by yourself?
Not a fraternity. No, but the thing is, I worked with Tank. So for me, it's like, I don't really, like personally, there's a lot of great, artists, singers, whatever out here, but are they personable? Like Raheem, down to earth dude. When I first worked with him, total transparency. He was straightforward. It was like a big brother, little brother situation. And that was my first time meeting him in Houston, working with him. Phenomenal. Like Raheem, Tank, Eric Benet. Personally, for me,
Eric Benet is funny too. And the thing about Eric Benet, he's really funny. Like,
and you know what's funny?
Super funny, bro.
Jay, he's like you in that, you remember, we didn't even know about Eric Benet's falsetto till like a couple albums in, right? He didn't, but it reminds me of you, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I can do it, but I ain't gonna really put it out like that.
And his falsetto was insane. But those are like, and Anthony Hamilton, in terms of the males, those were like the most like down to earth, cats that I ever met. But like the younger generation, it's like they don't want to work together. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, man, is it competition? Like, what is like? All that's weak, if you ask me personally. It's like, bro, let's just work, man. Especially as black males, like we got to help uplift each other, keep this R&B thing going, and let's just stick together. But nowadays, it's just like this divide amongst us, man. Like they just don't care to work with each other. It's
well,
weird.
Jay, and I think also you coming from the church, the beautiful thing about church, it reminds me of jazz in that you can say you're the coldest, whatever. You can say you're the coldest. But the reality is you're going to be singing next to that person or playing with that person, and this all comes out in the wash. So nobody really brags about it because it's like, you sitting there singing with somebody, it's going to come out. Whereas, like you say, if we're honest, the rappers and even some of the new singers, they really never are in the same room with beasts. Because like I say, you can go to any city in any place in America and find a church singer who can blow, period, right?
Blow.
So anyway. So it keeps your ego down,
Exactly. Oh, is that a question from Valerie?
Yeah.
Look at Sweets. What's up, Sweets?
So just so I'm clear, because the whole story is amazing. I saw that you got a full academic scholarship to Grambling. What was your major at Grambling? Because obviously there's no academic musical scholarship, I don't think. And if it was, I would have never got it. So I would love to know what was your major in Grambling?
My major, I was a poli-sci major, pre-law, political science pre-law. So I just, I ended up getting actually 3 scholarships. I had academics, choir, and baseball. And,
what? Let me find out. Jay Brown is
baseball one
a master of all trades.
Where was your baseball scholarship to?
Grambling.
Wow.
Bootsy, stick with the show. He went to Grambling.
but it's interesting because when people are passionate about sports, that's hard to turn down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have worked a long period of time to get scholarships to go to sports, that ain't the easiest thing to turn down and go do something else.
I mean, honestly, I was tired of baseball. Like I did it for so long, I was tired of it, and especially playing at like the college level. For me, it was just like, I'm tired of it. It was just too much going on. And then once I started pledging my fraternity, I was just out of it, man, mentally. So for me, it was a good experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world, but I knew ultimately I didn't want to do it like, long term.
Now, interestingly enough, Bootsy, have you noticed that Jay has mentioned his fraternity twice, but has not mentioned his fraternity?
Boy.
Well, I thought it would have been apparent considering my colors, even though it's not quite spot on, but black and old gold. I'm an alpha, so yeah.
That's important to know, Jay Brown. You gotta know.
I'm also a Mason too, so shout out to all my Prince.
Oh, damn it. Let me tell you something. Hold up now. Let's do the checklist, Bootsy.
I know, because we checking it off.
Jay Brown is black.
Black.
HB, wait a minute. Church, that preacher's kid, HBCU,
check.
Mason,
check.
And frat,
check.
This brother right here is grounded.
Oh, you an alpha? You
no.
Oh, we said okay. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm in a fraternity. Don't come beat me up, y'all. Okay, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Hey.
Nah, it's cool.
So man, exciting. Got this exciting project. You work with Tank. All is good. Tell us about the project and what do you want to do with this latest project, man?
So with this latest project, I just want people to see, finally get an idea of who Jay Brown is in terms of my musicality, and because I've been working at this for a long time, and as we all know, there's a lot of fluctuation points in music. But for my first album, actually, which is entitled Chapter and Verse, it drops May 20th. It's a lot of great R&B records on there. And I just hope that people, when they listen to it, they actually pay close attention to the songs because there's meaning behind everything. Wow. So I just want people to see that and just, get a better idea as to who I am as an artist. Yep. Chapter and Verse, May 20th.
So Bootsy, you always ask great questions, but I would have to say, Bootsy, wouldn't we agree that Jay Brown, you're probably the most well-rounded artist that we've ever talked to, and even not even ever talked to just in the game, because usually it seems like it's a sacrifice. A lot of people don't go to college, it's all da-da-da, or, they kind of like, but you have this kind of and to be honest, Jay, sadly, I think sometimes in this industry, it almost works against you. It's almost like you know too much. You know who you are. Yeah. You're not going to just go for the okie doke, right? Have you ever found that? Have you ever felt that way?
I have. Sometimes you got to play possum sometimes, play stupid, just to see how much the person would try to get away with.
Yeah, I've mastered that. I've mastered that.
Bro. It's like I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, pay close attention. It's okay to let people feel as if you don't know until the time is right, and then you can kind of, act accordingly.
That's the educational background coming out of you. But I think the other thing, the point that Marc is making, and what I'm fascinated about is the fact that you had all these options available to you, but you still chose this. So I think that says a lot about you as well. Just, the road that you took, because sometimes it's easy to stay in your comfort zone and just, when you hear all these scholarships, baseball and all this stuff or whatever, it's really fascinating, but it shows your commitment to the fact that you still stayed the course of what you wanted to do or whatever. Do you ever sit back and think about what you turned down in the road that you took? Like, you ever sit back and think about that?
No, I mean, because I knew, like I said, in terms of like I knew eventually that baseball, that was just going to be over with. Like, I just knew it. I just wasn't, my heart wasn't into it like that. I've been doing.
What did you play in baseball?
Shortstop.
You could have made money in that, bro.
Nah.
No. I'm just saying, like,
you could. Yeah, I could.
As a position, the potential of that. But I get it. I know what you mean. Obviously, you're making money in what you're doing now, but it's just interesting that all these options that you turned down. Was there ever a time when you sat back and think, maybe I should have took one of these other opportunities? Be honest, Jay Brown. God is watching. Yeah, he's there. He's there.
No, to be honest with you, bro, I definitely, like, there's times I have, like, in the past, I kind of had those moments, like, man, because as an artist, and you're an artist yourself, we have these highs and lows. So it's kind of like, well, man, there's no retirement plan. There's no this, there's no that. What I'm going to fall back on? So I thought about that before, like, man, let me make sure I kind of protect myself. But then in terms of the sense of me like having a backup plan, it's all about my faith, man. Like I just put all my faith in God and just, you know, pray for the best, because as we all know, one day it's going to end, just like everything, you know. So how do you protect yourself when it does? So I do have those moments sometimes, you know, but I guess my faith just keeps me going, you know.
Let me tell you something, Jay Brown. You are, I mean, you're a joy, man. It's just, you know,
I
being
feel
a
like
brother
I know
like you.
him. Hey, I feel like I know you, bro.
Right. I love the fact that you're very mature. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't feel, it's like, you know, and we met you in person, so you don't have any of that. What you just said earlier about kind of taking a back seat. I think when you're a young black man, because you're fighting so hard, a lot of times it's hard to do that, right?
Right.
And also, there's a sense of desperation I think we have sometimes. It makes it hard to do that. So we end up being a lot because of these dynamics. You have this energy, man, that really is refreshing for such a young brother. Now, speaking of refreshing, now I don't know how he does it, Bootsy, but if you watch a Jay Brown video, you're going to see some beautiful women in the video.
Man,
I'm going to see some people in some nice clothes, some nice cars. Let's revisit one of those.
Doing this to myself, and I can tell my friends about this.
Let's bring it back, Bootsy. Hold on.
Yeah. I need to hear it again.
Hey, baby.
Where you at now?
Nothing. I was shopping.
Again? Yo, how many times you gonna go shopping?
I'm not always shopping.
I've asked you to stop
And
spending
this is
my
our
money.
money,
You
so
do
what
it
are you
all the
talking
time.
about? You can come pick me up,
Just
though.
give me
I'm
your
gonna drop you a
location. I'm on
pin.
my way.
Green, whip,
Palm trees.
ride.
Is that Jake and Jared?
Bentley.
Got me fucked up, I might lose my mind. Girl, you tripping, you so out of line. Wanna fall sleeping, don't got the time. So you only see the shit from your side. Got me flying out on a one-way to see your ass just for one day. And you complain I don't spend time. Always teasing me like some foreplay. Play nice till it isn't your way. Yet I still need you by my side. I know this isn't right, but I don't walk away. Something's telling me to stay. I know this shit's so toxic, guess I like the pain. Cause I'm right here in the same place. Tripping, girl, you got me sipping. Cause I don't want no one, I don't want no one else. Slipping, girl, you got me sipping.
All right, woo! Let me calm down. It's early in the morning.
It's a family show. I'm sorry.
Keep it all family. Keep it, but we can keep it in the family. No, I'm joking.
See, you have been hanging out with Tank. You know what's so funny, Jay? When you do, like, that's the thing that I think is interesting with Tank. Tank has some songs and some lyrics that are right on the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially nowadays in the world we live in now, where from I Deserve to a couple of the songs where you're like, wait a minute, did he say grab her? Did he just grab her by her neck? I mean, so, Jay, do you think about that? I mean, because now I think there was a time when I think people didn't really think about it as, but now it's very, much. You have to be sensitive to those things. Is that something that goes on as you're doing, or do people check you, or what goes on in that process nowadays?
You mean in terms of like my interaction in the video?
Yeah, like from interaction in videos to the lyrics to what you say. It's like it's under a microscope, but it's odd because on one hand, there's filth on the radio every day in rap, but then on R&B, it's like, they pull out wait a minute. So it's a contradiction, but does it play into your whole thing or not necessarily?
It depends, because there is some hesitance. I'm gonna be 100 like with you in terms of everything. Like for me, I try to like not do too much, considering I am a father, and I have a daughter, have a son. So it's kind of like I gotta watch certain things. Like for instance, the young lady in that video, she was more revealed than that. Like they show her legs, but
oh wow,
It was supposed to be. Yeah,
Why we didn't see that, Jay Brown? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna email you the unedited version. but no, you know, I was like, nah, we gotta chop and screw this. Let's take that out, take this out. And like you said, sometimes you gotta be mindful. Certain things that they see on camera,
right?
It may come back to bite you eventually. You know, when it comes to sponsorships, when it comes to getting on this show, like, oh man, he abuses women. He's grabbing her hair. So some people don't get it. You know,
right.
So it can be easily misconstrued. So for me, I just try to play it safe because we see what's happening with some artists nowadays. I ain't gonna say no names, but subliminally, I'm sure y'all know who I'm referring to.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I'm praying for that brother, but it's man.
You remember the irony was, you remember when he criticized the other old school guy?
I wasn't gonna say it.
That also, remember, he criticized, but it's so interesting. Right. And it's and you know, things have changed. It's interesting because
hypocrisy.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but also not to give, you know what I mean, is that I think it's important for people to stay humble and just ride their wave.
Yep.
I don't think everybody should be giving an opinion on everybody when they reach a certain stature. Sometimes it's best to just run your race. You know, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got is don't get too high, don't get too low, because everybody is extendable, no matter what you think. So sometimes when you get that high moment,
brother,
when you it happen,
man,
to other people that slapping people.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Be careful, and because they will love you today. Real talk. The other piece of advice is you as in the entertainment business, you is only as valuable as the service that you can provide to somebody.
Yes, sir.
You better keep that in mind. So, because I remember him from ground zero. I remember him because he is from around, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I saw how he got when he got there. You know what I mean?
And the crazy part was he was a really humble guy.
Wasn't he?
He really was a sweetheart.
Bruh. He was unbelievably cool.
And super talented. But if y'all don't know who we're talking about, never mind, because we're talking to Jay Brown.
We're talking about Jay Brown's new album. That's what we're talking about.
So Jay,
go ahead. I didn't mean to interject. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Interject, brother.
I was gonna ask. So I'm gonna play interviewer right now.
Good.
Yeah.
So what advice would y'all give to not only a young black man, but to an artist such as myself, who can come up against obviously a lot of obstacles?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give me in terms of figuring out an alternative way to kind of like redirect certain negativity?
I got you. Okay. So let me go, because I know, Mark, you got a longer one. I will say this. No, Mark, I mean that because you've been in the business a little bit longer than me or whatever. You know what I mean? I was fortunate enough to be mentored by Earth, Wind, and Fire and Maurice White, and just them in general.
Okay, now hold on. I'm gonna go first because Jay, how am I gonna come after that? He been mentored by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I've been mentored by Springfield Shaky, the band I played with in Springfield, Illinois. So I'll go first, Earth, Wind, and Fire, mister. So Jay, first of all, I'm not worried about you on that tip. You know, I'm not really worried about you because again, you're already conscious of you stated already. You're already conscious of, you know, it's almost like you know, you're already conscious. I think that's the problem. People get so big they're not conscious anymore, right?
Right.
That doesn't sound like your personality. I will say I will say as a young artist for you though, I love this move with Tank, because you being with Tank now exposes you to Tank's audience, right?
Right.
And you're you know, obviously I love that picture. I don't know what that picture was, but it almost was like Tank's the OG and you're like the new guy, you know? Yep. I like that imaging.
That's what he wanted.
I love it. And so Jay, I would say, Jay, you know, you know how you have a whole machine that does it, but grow more people need to know about you. You're an amazing artist. You're an amazing singer. You're a good looking guy. You're smart. You belong to organizations. I would really focus on individually posting every day on Instagram, on whatever platform, letting people get to know Jay Brown, because the more the people know you, they love you. Some people have bad personalities, and so it works against them. And you're a real dude, so it's not like you're fronting. You know what I mean? A lot of people will be posting, and the first thing they want to do is be showing what I got. You're not that guy. You actually have substance. It might be you. It might be you. For those who aren't familiar, you might cover a hook of a classic song. You might say what you like, or you might da 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 da. You know what I mean? So I would just say higher social media presence. Number one, those relationships. Work those relationships with those people that are